It's simply a reminder. Just leave your shit where it's going. If it's going fine, I don't need the goddamn profit I was jerking off to. It's so annoying.
Welcome back, everybody, and welcome to my wonderful co-hosts, Leanne and Jesse. Leanne, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Very well.
Very good. Jesse, how are you, sir?
Nice and chill. Thank you.
I hope you're all doing well. If you took Leanne's trade last week on Solana, I'm sure you're all very happy.
Sun is shining, yes.
So on that note today, people, we're going to have another look at Solana and some of the projects that are utilising that blockchain. Certainly a heap of hype around this project. So we're going to hand it over to you first, Leanne, to take us through the charts, and we'll put a bit of meat on the bones around what these projects actually do afterwards.
Okay, I will start with the Bitcoin chart. I've just put a little note here that I might just talk you through now. Before we were looking at, where we were going with this, and we did hit a bottom around, what did it hit, 46 area. I did move my channel down to start a new channel, but again, I do adjust my channels and they can be broken. So I just use that as a metric for the direction we're going in. At the moment, I've put, I don't know. As we know, Bitcoin dominance is down. According to my methodology, we are still underwater, and I've just put an annotation there. There's a lot of downward pressure on the 77 SMA and the 231 SMA. And for me, that means we could visit the 51 area again, or we could break down to the 40. So it's been a really lovely bounce, and it was nice to see a really quick recovery, but we're not out of the woods yet, and I'm still watching and seeing what this will do. And I think it, by my instinct, it wants to fill out the 51 area again, and that will be our point of if it doesn't recover up from there to create that inverse head and shoulders, then we could be having further downside. So just prepare for all scenarios is my advice on Bitcoin.
It seems to me like that Bitcoin dominance is definitely signaling a strong possibility for alt season.
It could.
So other things of note for Bitcoin right now is obviously we've got the options and the futures expiring Friday US time, so a couple of days away on that. And I think it's definitely something to factor in, that 54K would be the ultimate max pain point for whales to maybe keep the price around that level. That would cause the most pain to both longs and shorts. So, yeah, let's see how that one plays out. Might be a big move. We've also got many people tweeting that there's a big institutional play about to happen in Bitcoin. I think Pompiano was suggesting it's Facebook. I don't necessarily buy that, but let's see. What we do know is that we had a large gaming company out of Hong Kong, I believe, who have just purchased $100 million worth of Bitcoin.
But yes, Jesse, let's hope we get a little bit of an alt season in between Bitcoining, deciding what it wants to do.
Yeah.
So this is the Ethereum chart. And as we discussed and we've been discussing, it did hit those lows around 2000. We had that FOBO, fake out, breakout, and then it retraced back to this zone, and now we're heading straight back up with a nice W pattern. And, the next target would be the 3000 zone. So it looks really strong. I know the ETH BTC pair is also looking good. I'm not looking at that at the minute, but I did look at it earlier today and it looks quite nice also, which confirms the strength in Ethereum. So if Bitcoin was to take a tumble, I guess we always get that first reaction. So we could revisit down to the 21 EMA SMA, sorry. So yeah, it's just knowing where we could fall back to, and the 2000 zone is really strong support right now. So Ethereum looking good.
I've just got to throw it in there. I'm actually in a trading competition at the moment, you two, on Bybit, who also I just need to give a quick shout out to. They've launched farming on that platform now. So if you've got money in the account, you can actually you can trade with your money in there, but you can also stake it and get 4% on BTC, EOS, XRP, and USDT. And if you are an experienced trader, please use our link below. Oh, just quickly though, I'm in the top 7% of the trading competition at the moment, so I must know what I'm doing.
Ooh.
Nice. You're a 7%er.
See how that goes in the next 48 hours. I'll get back to you.
Yeah, let us know. The next chart I'm going to revisit is the Sol chart. And the reason I'm watching this every week is because we've followed and tracked it so far. So it's great to see how things play out. So I did take profit in this region, which was my first take profit zone. And, you know, we've blown past that and we're revisiting the 2.618 for me on my charts. And that is around the $50 mark. And then the next target beyond that is around the $65 mark. So it is, you know, taking off. And the reason which we're going to talk about today, I started the trade in this because the FTX ecosystem of Solana, Serum and Ray to me was a very strong narrative, and I like to trade strong coins. And I believe I said to you, Sean, I'm going to show up some more of Sam's coins. So we had a bit of discussion. I just call them Sam's coins now. And Sam is the founder of FTX Exchange, and he's got a really powerful ecosystem going with a few solid coins. So yeah, this trade is still looking good, and I am glad I took some profit, even though it blew past my take profit zone. I'm okay with that because I still hold it, and that's why it's nice to scale out and not go all out or all in at any one point in time. So you can take incremental profits on those and still hold some for when you don't feel so rotten when it still moves.
More of Doug. I mean, it is interesting. It's another competitor to Ethereum. So it sort of feels like it's getting that whole, you know, it's the next Polkadot. There's a hell of a lot of hype, and then we're hearing about all the projects building on it. So, yeah, how about we have a look at the next couple of charts, and then maybe we'll loop back to more of a chat on the whole ecosystem.
So I'll look at Serum next, SRM. For me, this is a no-brainer trade because it's highly backed. So I actually started scaling in back here at around high fours, nearly $5. And in that Bitcoin dumpage, we saw it revisit this trend line area, and now it's just shot off again after that. So I've just put a little note here. Serum is a good place. If you were looking to trade this, you would always, after a breakout, wait for a revisit of the breakout zone. So we seem to be doing that now. So if you're looking to enter Serum, this area, the $8 region, is a nice place, and you could even put some bids there. And our VPVR shows around $7 as the biggest support at the bottom there. So I'm feeling good about this trade. It's got a lot of hype at the moment, but it's also not so hypey that it's doing these parabolic candles, which I like. It's doing slow and steady movements, stair-stepping up. So our next zone, it's just hit $11. So if you wanted to re-enter, look for this zone between $7 and $8, and then I would target the $15 region for the next take profit zone. And another tip would be, you could also scale out your risk capital up here. And because it is a coin that, has a lot of good news coming out, and I think in the long term will do well, you could stash away the difference of what you've made so they actually cost you nothing. That's another thing if you like to invest for the longer term.
What I like about it is, it's a DEX. It's a non-custodial platform. Where does the value of this token come from? Obviously, people trading it, but the actual sort of utility and governance functions, whether or not, most projects say that to get around the Howey test, but ultimately it's fees for people using that are going to be a major driver. I believe a portion of the token gets burnt. So yeah, look, I mean, another DEX in a project that's hot at the moment. So I agree with you. I think there's a lot of hype. So yeah, one that I'll certainly be looking at closely. I haven't actually used the actual platform yet, but I will do that and give you my thoughts on the next show. So I believe the next one is also a Solana project. Is that right?
Yes.
Ray?
The next one is Ray. So there's like a trilogy of Sam's coins. So the next one is Ray, and actually I'll show you that now. Here's the Raydium chart on FTX, and what I liked about this chart was because it has it doesn't have a lot of price discovery. We look like we're in a big accumulation band where our bottom's around $5 and our top is around 13. So I actually started scaling into Raydium just recently because it breached this resistance zone and it's had a little tiny minor pullback. But, that could come back down to the $10 mark. It could come back down to the accumulation range, $5 mark. So my suggestion for a trade like this, because it's in its infancy, is to scale in. You don't have to go all in or all out. You could scale in now. You can scale in a little bit lower, and we can see a pretty well-defined accumulation range. So you wouldn't be so freaked out if it went down. You could just use that as an opportunity to accumulate a bit more, because my targets for this are much higher. And, I'm looking up towards a $26 mark for this one before I assess any further how strong it's looking. Just zoom out a little bit. There you go. And up to the $40 range. So that's my Ray chart. And I think if you were looking for a trade, this might be a nice one to scale into. It's definitely not a quick pump trade, but yeah, it's a nice project to scale into if you don't mind that it might have some ranges of price movement over the next little while.
I just want to point out that today Solana are launching Solana Season. It's not entirely clear exactly what that is, but it looks sort of like a hackathon. I think they got about $1 million in grants. So check that out. I'll put a link below that applications begin today for that. Yeah, Leanne, obviously you put Solana on our radar on this show a couple of weeks ago, and since then I'm hearing a hell of a lot of people talking about it. Obviously Solana's done very well. Serum, yeah, I mean, look, I'm all about decentralized finance. Ray is similar to Serum. I wouldn't say there's anything sort of groundbreakingly new there. It's a bridge for DeFi, offers AMM, automated market making. We've got that in Pancake, Sushi, QuickSwap, etc. But look, all of the projects I just mentioned there are skyrocketing. So yeah, if somebody's got a lot of capital, obviously a pretty good place to enter this market. And you mentioned Sam's coins. I've had a look who Sam Bankman-Fried, I believe is his name, Alameda Research. Yeah, another MIT person in the crypto space. They all seem to come out of MIT. Alameda Research is throwing a significant amount of money at projects in the space, $40 million recently in Oxygen. Sort of other grants between sort of 4, 5, 10 million of the, so look, they're clearly well funded. Looking at Sam's background, Alameda's big crypto market liquidity provider. He's clearly got a strong trading background as well. So yeah, thanks for putting that on the radar. Solana's moved dramatically, so will all these dApps sort of follow suit? They're definitely going to get hyped, so well worth looking at. What do you think, Jesse?
It is interesting how you have lots of different projects coming up these days that have similarities to other ones, and you always wonder. But I really like, I can't remember who made this comparison, but I was listening to someone speak about altcoins in general and how Early on, people were saying there's too many different companies and projects and teams trying to go for the same thing. And he said, yeah, but I mean, if you have enough money to get a car and you want to browse the market, you could look for something that's big and comfortable and rides smoothly, or you could find one that zips around corners real well, or you could find a car that can go off road. You could find the ones that have to be on road only. And there's so many different types of cars that all do the same thing, but they do it differently, up to your liking. So I think that there's a lot of use for a lot of different coins that may do a lot of similar things, just differently.
Yeah. I'm more of a TA girl, as I've discussed. I don't like being a bag holder. And I did get into those trades late. Like there were people that got into Solana, way at the bottom and Serum at the bottom. But I've entered quite late, but that's because I noticed the narrative happening. I still think there's room for growth. The hype is growing. And I like that it's not doing parabolic things, because that for me is a consistent stair-stepping trade. When things go parabolic, I don't like it. It's the low caps, because I can't keep an eye on it quickly. You kind of have to be all over it, right? But this is doing nice methodical moves, and because it's the ecosystem of FTX, I used FTX a few years ago, and I absolutely hated the dashboard, the interface. I just thought it was clunky and awful. And then I revisited it recently, and I was just blown out of the water at how easy and beautiful it was to use. So, and then, I sort of caught on to the Sam's Coins narrative, and I'm like, right, there's a famous photo that goes around Twitter of Sam Friedman laying in a beanbag in the middle of the night with all his computers, like he's working his butt off, this guy. So to me, he symbolizes a really dedicated company, and they want their platform to work. They want their ecosystem to work. So for me, it all just screamed back this in a trade. Keep a little bit at the end and see where it goes. But, the bulk of it is a trade for me, and I will keep a tiny bit for a moon bag and see where that goes. And I also wasn't trading on Uniswap or any of that. And this was an opportunity for me to get into some of those projects that were initially offered on Uniswap. So it was on the central exchange that my trades are taking place.
You pretty much just trade on centralized exchanges. Is that the case?
Yeah. And it's interesting because I think we've privately spoken about this. There's people put in $500 and they're worth $10 million. And it's interesting to see what I've missed out on by not playing in that pool. But I've worked out I'm a different type of trader. It doesn't mean I won't explore that in the future. But to be honest, I actually had a lot of reservations about using things like MetaMask. And the more I found out, the more hacks I saw happening, and I actually was really uncomfortable with it, which is why I didn't step into that arena. And I also know that by not going into that arena that I've missed out on a lot of opportunities. So for me, it's more of a see how this plays out, and then I'll dip my toe in. But you boys might be able to tell me a bit more about, security-wise with DEXs and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, Jesse, just before we comment on that, you're not a degen trader, but I know you've experimented with most things in the blockchain space. Do you primarily trade on DEXs or centralized exchanges?
I would even say that to the extent that I am a trader, I probably am a degen trader. but you had to think about it there for a second. Well, actually, yes, I am a trader. Well, I think that to be considered a degen trader, you really kind of have to have a certain way about how you go about things, and I'm not all gung ho like that. So,
how many coins do you have, Jesse?
A degenerate amount.
Exactly.
Yeah. I try to kind of dip my feet into both pools, right? Like I try to act a little bit like a maniac and a little bit like a 67-year-old like investor who just was like, safe. And I'm somewhere. The yin and the yang is strong.
It surprises me how many people that have been in crypto for quite a while that just still sort of use those centralized exchanges. Mm-hmm. I got another airdrop this week from using Uniswap and Ampleforth. So did Jesse, I think, as well. So there are these payments that it's almost like you've been rewarded for sort of being first to the punch and trying out new tech in this space. And there's significant amounts of money that I've probably made as much from airdrops as I have from trading.
Yes, I know. This is what I hear, and this is what I've missed out on. Although I said to Sean, I never get airdrops. That's because I'm not splashing around in the dexes. But I did notice on my FTX account, I have a very torturous airdrop, and you guys will laugh when I tell you what it is. It's one Doge.
Hold on to that.
So I've got this torturous reminder of my bad decisions from months ago.
No, you might very well be holding $1 million there.
I'm like, do I sell this one Dogecoin right now just because I don't want to look at it?
Don't do it. Don't do
Jesse,
it.
you were telling me that the Doge master, Mr. Musk himself, is on Saturday Night Live this weekend, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he just recently posted something calling himself the Doge Father in recent promotion of him being on Saturday Night Live soon. And I think that whole concept is strange. I used to enjoy Saturday Night Live. I mean, especially back before I was even born. It was just a very good old-fashioned classic show with amazing comedians and funny writing and just comedy at heart. And fast forward to 2021, I would consider it a government propaganda platform. That's all it is. It's not funny.
Sound that funny.
And if you're watching this and you find it funny, I'm sorry, you're not funny. But at the end of the day, it's very strange to see Elon Musk, who's probably funnier than everyone on that show combined by accident. He's coming on the show, and apparently the cast of Saturday Night Live, some of them were all up in arms because they were worried about the real intentions of him coming on the show. It's like, well, it's probably to promote something that he likes. What do you expect? Like, did you think he was coming on because he liked you, or you thought you were fun? Like, there's a reason he's on the show. Yes, that's usually why they come on. I'm sure it's quite funny.
So what have we learnt today, kids? We've had a look at charts that are related to the Solana project. Your good friend Baloo from the crypto jungle, when I asked him about his use of functional analysis, he's like, well, first I'll see a chart that's interesting. You can see how the crowd's behaving, and then go away and look at the project. And this is exactly what's happened here. You put Solana on our radars with the chart. I've gone away and looked, and there's things for me that are positive and negative from a fundamental point of view. Just on the negative, some of the marketing material is really, really hypey. It's sort of belittling other blockchains. I don't like when people do that. I think if you've got the goods, you don't really need to maybe sort of be sucker punching people. But they're claiming 50k transactions per second. They got a thing on the website where you can actually test that. So that's interesting. I'll certainly give that a crack.
I think it's time stamped, isn't it? That was their point of difference as well. There was something about time stamping. Not that I'm an expert in that.
Well, all blockchains, I think, use timestamping. I'm not quite sure, but we'll have
there was some point of difference about time and transactions, but again, I'm not.
Well, they're saying they've got 50,000 transactions per second, whereas Ethereum currently is 50.
Right.
I suppose one thing on a positive, what I would say is, okay, for me, this feels again, it's like Polygon. When Polygon happened, what was that, 6 months ago? I know Jesse, you got in there. I bought very early. I sold when I'd made 100% on it. Look at the price now. This possibly is going to be a similar sort of situation to that. I think this one is well backed. There's a good team. There's a lot of projects on there. They're kicking out funding left, right, and centre, so it's absolutely to be taken seriously. But as I say, on the negative, I'm not a big fan of the people charging in we're the Ethereum killer. We're decentralized. Really? I think Bitcoin is the only thing that can actually call itself truly decentralized. So some of the language in the marketing,
Right.
Great team. A lot of money behind it, a lot of hype.
There's room for everybody in the sandpit. All the kids need to play please.
Hey, I
Yep.
must say about that, it's like I think I've gotten to the point. I don't know if it's smart or not, but I think I've gotten to the point now where the concept of taking profits doesn't even exist in some of these higher tier coins like Polygon. Geez, I even I was a longtime holder of AGI. I still am. Singularity Net, which is the artificial intelligence, and right around about 2 weeks ago, I had one of these kind of moments of like, even though I'm a long-time holder, maybe I should take it out of staking because it's been in this like eternal staking cycle. I took it out just because, what if in the next month there's some sort of surge, but I know that everything's going to drop. Maybe I could sell my AGI and then I'll buy back in and keep on staking. I think 2 hours after I pulled AGI out of staking mode that I've been having in there for over a year, I think, about 2 hours after that, AGI announces we're doing an airdrop to all stakeholders, and we just took a snapshot.
No!
We just took a snapshot. Since we know Jesse just pulled out, it'll be right now that if you're a staker, you will get the airdrop. And I said, okay, well, I guess fuck me, but also it's simply a reminder. Just leave your shit where it's going. If it's going fine, I don't need the goddamn profit I was jerking off to. It's so annoying.
You needed to leave the treasure in the pirate chest. Oh,
So
no.
stupid. So from now on, I'm selling the coins that I don't give a shit about. I'm selling the coins that I'm trying to make a quick profit. But these guys that are up there on the top, even the top 10 of my list, I don't even care. Just leave them. Just leave them forever. Let's see what happens in a couple of years.
Typical of many of us, that whole situation, all in, all out, press that button, it goes up, press the button, it goes down. It's those moments where, yes, you have to say, I need to keep a bulk of it and I'll just do a little bit.
Yeah. Lucky for me,
Yeah.
AGI is still giving an airdrop to just holders as well, so I get that. But it's like, the thing that I was proudly doing for so long, I don't get this reward simply because of a moment. And the fact that it was just hours, it wasn't like a month later. It was moments after I pulled it out of this long-term staking hold. The universe is like, hey, idiot, get ready.
Yeah.
Well, you know this story, Jesse, but just to remind you of it, if it makes you feel any better, I missed out on the airdrop of Uniswap because I had multiple wallets. One of them I was able to claim. We all know what those things are worth now, but I missed out on by 1 day. It was actually ours because it was the same day, but in our part of the world, in the southern hemisphere, the date was 1 day ahead. I missed out by literally probably 3 or 4 hours on being paid out on multiple wallets.
Well, the moral of the story is we've all been shafted on whichever side of the fence we sit on.
There's people yelling at their screens at the moment going, I got one worse than that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Nobody can beat my dozer.
Share your shafting stories down below, people.
Shafted.
Plenty of homework here, really, isn't there, for people? Go and check out what's happening on Solana. I'll certainly do more of a deep dive on the channel into what's happening on that project. But, yeah, I mean, the charts are saying have a close look, so I'm certainly doing that.
Anyone out there who's interested, I'm releasing an EP. The EP is titled Shelter. And I just used something that Sean brought to my attention, even though I was already aware of it. Audius, which is a new kind of a crypto-friendly music platform for sharing.
On the Solana blockchain, by the way, Jesse.
On the Solana blockchain and there's lots of different things involved in crypto with this, including discovering and sharing music and reward systems and all sorts of VIP tiers and interesting things. So I just uploaded my EP Shelter to that website and connected my MetaMask, and I even have a couple audio coins now, and we'll see how that goes. But it's an interesting new endeavor I'm taking with incorporating my own creative work with crypto. Let's see how that goes.
But yeah, I mean, for us, I think that's the sort of the next progression here is to coming from sort of content creation backgrounds, for us to really find these companies. We spent a good amount of time and money making a documentary on Copenhagen. It's still sitting there. We ran into some roadblocks getting it distributed and so forth. But now with what's happening in blockchain for content creators to be able to tokenize a project, finance it that way, actually distribute it, shard it, etc. There's a multitude of things coming up, and that's what I've been saying to a lot of people recently. It's great, and we'll follow your journey with the audience, Jesse. But I've been saying to a lot of people, find something you really understand and love, and see what's happening in blockchain around that project. You're going to be able to assess whether it's got legs, whether there is a use case. And that's why, once again, we mentioned this last week, it's different to 217. There are actually functioning dApps out there now, for the person who's willing to put that time in. You can, A, use technical analysis, B, get in there, find something you understand and can actually use, and there's probably a good investment.
Brilliant.
And on that note, Jesse, we're obviously going to get played out today with some of your music.
This is music by me, Mathematics. Hope you enjoy it.